Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is Arafire, where today I am joined by Graeme from Primetime Toyz. Graeme, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Primetime Moff.
All talk, no shock.
Today, I've asked Graeme to join me on this episode of All Talk No Shock because we are going to talk about third parties in general. Now, Graeme, of course, has a lot of interest in third party transformers, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to have a bit of an open discussion about the involvement of third party companies within the Transformers collecting world. So, Graeme, first question really to you is around the advancements of engineering that we've had with third-party companies. It's been around for a better part of 10 years, and we've seen limitations now becoming expectations, where we've gone from what was expected, or what is now definitely expected, and when it's not there, it's very much a disappointment. So, but your involvement with third-party transformers, what's something that you've really noticed over the 10 years or so that's been quite a staple with engineering advancements?
I think the early third party, a lot of them weren't very stable for display. They weren't great for posability. It was almost a get it in one pose and it stays in that. I think back to the first big third party I had was the TFC Hercules, their Devastator, which was the best Devastator on the market at the time, but it was very limited in what it could do. The ratchets in it weren't great. If you bumped it, it was collapsing. There was no way that was staying up. You compare that to kind of more modern third-party stuff. Think of, I'm looking just now and seeing like the Deformation Space Starscream has got such fantastic posability. It's got so much more strength in its joints that it can stand in all these incredible positions. I think that's the biggest thing. I think you can see that in toys in general in the last 10 years. Third party has probably been a little bit ahead of the curve from Hasbro, but you can also see that Hasbro have mimicked a lot of the things they saw in third party, how they do ankle joints, how they hide forearms away, how they change their positions. I just think the continual improvement on learning from stuff, and you see that some companies will actually improve the figure they've done. Fans Toys with Spindrift, for example, their first Spindrift is nice, their second one's so much better because they listened, they learned, and I think we're third party probably for a lot of the time over Hasbro have had more interaction with fans to kind of really take on board what is said, what people like, what they don't like. If I think to MMC are one of my favourites over the course of time for third party, probably because of the things they've released. And I think going to old auto assemblies and the designers were there chatting, having a conversation. I remember when MMC Predaking was starting to come out, and I'm sitting chatting to the designer and chatting about the things he's learned from. He did Predaking, he did Overlord, he did Six Shot, but before that he had done iGear's mini-bots, which iGear's mini-bots, I've got the Gears one still. The alt mode looked beautiful, but they were chunky bots with no real movement articulation. He learned from that. He took on board the feedback and he was implementing things. I think Hasbro have got better at that, but I think third party were way quicker at going, tell us what you want, how do you want it to work?
Yeah, I think when you're a third-party company, and I've said this before, your reputation is everything. And you can say that about a lot of companies, but Hasbro will make money despite themselves. They'll have other licenses and toy lines that they can continue to churn out and go into games and films and whatever. But a third-party company like a fan store, it's like an MMC, you keep your fan base sweet. And you keep them sweet, they keep coming back. If there's things that fans want differently, to keep investing in the lines of products, because these companies will have plans with MMC. They wanted to do IDW, for example. They knew many, many figures that they wanted to do, but if there was going to be a continual theme that they were going to release with each figure that the fan base didn't like and the fan base got vocal about it, then people wouldn't buy all of these figures that they were planning to release. So you had to listen. You had to have that open book philosophy. I will say it's quite funny almost, because the things now, I do think photography has a lot to do with it. We've all kind of got into that now, as where you see so many on Facebook groups that people love to take snaps of photographs of their Transformers as soon as they get them. It's like, oh, great, I'll get them in this pose. And I think, like you mentioned around Hercules, that was more or less just to stand still and to admire. But now, companies want to go, oh, we understand that the average consumer likes to get them in a pose and then recreate shots. And so they had to do these advancements of engineering with the tools available. They had to invest into heavier ratchets to take these poses. And it's been a good thing. But I think you're right. I think companies want to listen and learn, or have to listen and learn, to keep up with what their audience want. Otherwise, they simply won't make the sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the camera bit's interesting. I think the evolution of mobile phones, that now everybody's got a really good, or not everybody, but most people have got a really good camera in their right beside them on their phone, that they can take the really good shots. And actually it does inspire you to go, actually, I'm going to take a better shot. Or, you're seeing more people with their collections in dynamic poses rather than just let's stand them up straight right beside each other. They're doing more, let's do little dioramas and doing different poses and sharing their pictures. Third-party companies will see that and go, we want to be the people that are on that.
So in the third-party world, we do also see some KOing of each other, which does give a bit of irony, the fact that it's infringing on a license to begin with, but this can be straight up KOing or upsizing, downsizing. So Graeme, where do you stand on this, where we're looking at some of these designs where some can be more or less borrowed, but maybe even in New Age, going down to Legends, these can more or less be fans' toys shrunk down, and the designs are very much the same, just with much more intricate engineering, but to the skin of it, to the face of it, it's very much the same. So where do you stand on KOing something that hasn't got a right to be a Transformer anyway?
I think it's going to happen. Like, first and foremost, the designers do jump from companies to another. These companies, there's some that have stayed the test of time, your Fans Toys, your MMC, but other companies have gone bust, have owed, people money, and then designs have been swapped. So like Toy World, and then becoming Zeta. So I know there's a Zeta Ford reissue coming, just an exact copy of Toy World Infinitor, but just a more metallic. So this happens. You've had Star Toy come out with the Blitzwing, which rumours are that was the original Fans Toys design. There's also rumours that it was a KO of, or a part KO of KFC's Blitzwing. There's rumours upon rumours upon rumours. I would be shocked if people aren't sharing aspects of designs to help each other learn from how to engineer certain aspects or certain styles of transformation. I would put money on companies are having that conversation. And there are companies who have good working relationships. I believe KFC and MMC have good relationships and have shared stuff in the past. I believe Fans Toys don't like anybody. I think they just release things or announce things to shaft other companies. But I definitely think there is aspects of that. And I've always been I don't mind a KO. I don't like a direct KO because I think that's just cheating. That's just you're trying to make some money off somebody else's. But if you take something and improve it, whether it be the engineering of it or change the size of it, whether it be upscale or downscale, as you said, there's some of the new age stuff absolutely has leaned into what some of the masterpiece scale stuff has done. The new Mod Fans Cerebro's head looks very, very similar and is clearly inspired a lot by the way Fans Toys have done theirs. I mean, it's not the exact same mold because you can see that when you look in detail at it, but it's clearly been inspired by it. And is that a bad thing? I don't think it is.
Imitation is a sincerest form of flattery, isn't it? And I think if you're gonna be a Fans Toys, you're gonna be a household name. You've got to expect people coming at you. And that's why when I saw the rumors online around Fans Toys getting KO'd and how some companies would effectively get blacklisted if they had to stock them, but then there was some dispute as to whether these are KOs or with this, and this comes into another point, and I've said this around Make Toys and Yes Model. It comes to mind with Contact Shop and Chrome Dome. Now, I don't think really there's too much of an argument here. I think Make Toys do get into bed with another company, or there is a knowledgeable and an acceptance that there is a hand down. There is something, whether it's defunct stock, because you think these are all being made in a factory. Everything that goes along production line will be made, and there will be defects that will be 90% complete, 80% still good, but not good enough to sell. Or that if they do, they'll have to just replace it anyway. And there will be a pile of them that surely can still be used if they could just slap a lesser name on it and sell it for a lesser price. There will be an outlet for that. There has to be. And I think Make Toys is one of the names that broadly accepts that. But then I think you make a very good point that these designers do move around. Job opportunities come up elsewhere, and someone says, we'll pay you a bit more to come and work with us. And Zeta come to mind a lot. With Toy World, there was a talk a lot of that Predaking, and I still think Kang Toys Predaking is born out of that design, more or less, because we haven't seen anything of a big Predaking scale since. We haven't seen the Zeta combine a style in Moon Studios or Studio 01, whoever. So there's a lot of that going on. So I think you make a good point around the upscaling and downscaling. I think it is good because it can get people saying, oh, I really want that if it was just a bit bigger. I've been like that with some Legends, I think.
I did that with the MMC Predaking. I've got the original, still one of my absolute favourite PCs. The joy of getting that through as it pieced out and then getting it combined at the end. I then bought the KO as well because I was like, I love this. Why would I not want a bigger version of it? I still have both versions. I don't think there's a part of me would go, I'd get rid of the original, because I think the original is far more posable. It's far more steady. But the other one's bigger. You know, and it's that aspect of it. It's like there are some things that just you could look through your collection, and I guarantee there's things that you go, that's either a little bit too big or it's a little bit too small. So if a company can just make it that a bit better scale, and as long as, and the MMC Predaking sold really well at the beginning, I don't think that the KO coming out, it came out not massively long after it, but I would think it massively hit the sales. And there will be PCs that I don't mind KOs of things that are long sold out. I think that's a decent position to be in. It gives people the opportunity to get things that they maybe never got the first time round. But I don't like straight KOs. I really don't mind improved KOs.
So just because you mentioned on there around timing, that's an interesting point, because timing is everything, I've always said. Now, I think there is this unwritten rule between third-party companies and Hasbro in the Masterpiece line, in that if Hasbro are throwing out something, third parties will generally steer clear of that figure. And there is if you don't swim too close to the sharks. And the prime example of this was Soundwave, I think. MP13.
Acoustic Wave.
Yeah, acoustic wave. So there was however long a time for Hasbro to have their Masterpiece figure out, which I've still got.
Fans Toys didn't do one. It was a company called Robot Paradise.
We'll get to that. We just talked about KOing. But there was plenty of time for the Masterpiece figure, the Takara figure, to do its own sales. Do you still think, excluding Zeta, do you still think that companies still go by that they're fear to go near Hasbro, certainly to tackle some of the more household names? Because even Fans Toys, we are allegedly going to get an Optimus Prime shape with Ultra Magnus, but
they're not getting an Optimus. Yeah, not a Megatron.
We've had a Grimlock, but the big names. But do you think there is a sense of your turn, then our turn, from third parties to Hasbro?
Yeah, and I think even Fans Toys did that with Trailbreaker. You know, again, that they purposely changed the box. They did things to make it look slightly different. You know, there's talks that their Ultra Magnus is going to be under a different line as well. You know, these companies are they're obviously doing things infringing on the IP. Like, there's no denying that. There's absolutely no way you can turn around and say it's not that just because you call it something else. However, I think they do stuff that's different enough that for a lot of people, we know a lot of people who wouldn't touch third party and go, nah, that's just not my thing. Sometimes it's over engineering. I'll hold my hand up and say some of the third party toys are not enjoyable to transform. I look at Hasbro as like fidget toys. I think they're great fun to transform. Vast majority of them. That's what Hasbro produce. Even their masterpieces to an extent are like that. But I think the aspect when third party are looking at what Hasbro are doing, they will course correct. If they think something's coming, they will make a change and go, oh, should we do slightly different? Should we release it under a different bit? Like, as I say, like Fans Toys, I mean, the fact that years later after Soundwave, they still were nervous and did that aspect of changing the name, I think it shows that there's a lot of risk with it. A company like Fans Toys hasn't got to where it is without knowing how to play the game to an extent. It's funny because the third-party companies don't seem to show each other the same respect. We've seen that with Predator King Wars and Devastator Wars and all these companies bringing out similar bots.
X-Transbots.
Yeah, and it's... it frustrates me because there's so many toys that they don't touch, and yet they sometimes just go for the same bots, and that's where I like companies like a Transart or a Fans Hobby who go for the more niche things that nobody else is touching, and it just means that you're getting a varied range rather than how many Trailbreakers is there? How many, as you say, how many Perceptors is there? How many of these
Springers?
Springer's the one that sticks with me. I love Springer, and there was a bit of me thinking, should I grab all the Springers? And then no, you really. It's not as if you can even just go, I'll just get one for each mode because there's far too many.
Yes,
and does there need to be that? Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually, how many good Sandstorms is there? How many good Blitzwings is there? That's what I don't understand. Why do we need 4 or 5 companies doing the same character? There is enough, even in just G1, even in pre-movie G1, there's still things that haven't been done exceptionally well. Start to lean into those kind of things.
I do think that's refreshing when a third-party company like a Transart and MMC, when MMC just said we're going to do IDW, no one was touching IDW. Fans Hobby was going, well, it's kind of going it's going Unicron Trilogy now, which is, again, great. No one was touching that, but it was going kind of late G1 side, or going into the Japanese continuity. And you're thinking, okay, that's good. No one's really doing that. Transart doing Beast Wars. No one was doing that. The Transmetals anyway. So, but Fans Toys went straight for G1, and then X-Transbot do G1 and kind of whatever the hell else they want. And then Zeta was kind of doing the same. Then you've got Star I've got no name, Star Action Toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Planet X as well will come along, but you start vying for positions, which can say it would almost be better if you just pitch your bit and then people can choose where to go. But that's profit versus what the market wants, what people would like.
Yeah. And even Legend class companies are doing that. New Age and Magic Square, very close together doing Jetfire, or not Jetfire, Skyfire. My stance on that. But that aspect of actually, again, one company's done it. Why did the other company need to do it? There's no. I always wonder who had the idea first and how did the other company get. And I do know that people jump from one company to another, and I know that there's designers and things like that we've talked about. But how did they end up always going, right, let's just both do this? Why not? Why not go, well, actually, you're doing a Legend class Skyfire, we'll do a Legend class Skylinks. There's plenty of things to both be in the market and both have a share of the market. There'll be people like there is with Fans Toys, like there is with the MMC. There'll be people who are, I am only buying New Age, or I'm only buying Magic Square. So those are never going to change. Are they trying to win over the ones that are in the middle? And I think that's a challenging fight.
It's picking up over bones, isn't it? It's trying to pick up scraps, because in many ways, I'm glad you brought it up, Legends is worse. There seems to be New Age does something, Iron Factory. Well, maybe Iron Factory can keep somewhat.
Yeah, in fact, they kind of do their weird Japanese styles as well. So they do something slightly different. I like companies that try to be a bit different. Like, we don't need three of the exact same character in a very similar style. It's nice to do something different, or maybe do a different version of the character, or like we said with Transart and Fans Hobby doing something totally different, you know. And then the worrying bit for me is when third-party companies just appear and produce one or two things and then disappear, and you're like, what's going on
Defamation Space
there?
have been talked about that. They're saying the Defamation Space is no more now, which I think is quite funny considering we've got 3 jets and a blaster.
Yeah, and the 3 jets are great, like absolutely fantastic.
Fine.
The blaster's decent. I think the Fans Toyz is better than it, but not. I wouldn't say the Fans Toyz the proportion of better of it compared to price. You know, blaster Defamation Space could be got for a lot less than the Fans Toyz. I think the cassettes with Fans Toyz are better, so that kind of pushes you. But there's rumours that Star Toy, the Star Toy Blitzwing, was Defamation Space, and all these companies doing these shady bits of let's change our names, let's do something that always makes me think, what's your business practice like behind the scenes?
Yeah.
And what kind of company are you supporting by, buying those products?
And this is where I get a bit worried when people have said it as well, when a repaint or reissue comes out suddenly, that is a sign. It's not always guaranteed, but it's a sign of a company hard up for cash. And we see, oh, look, here it is. So KFC have done that before. Planet X, Mate Toys with their Howling Meteor, with their jets, the Seeker jets, going dormant for so long to the point.
And then so much this year. Yeah.
But we're allegedly supposed to be getting their highbrow. I hope so. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, very much so.
But I'll believe it when I see it, because look at the other name, Transform Element. We saw a couple of releases, and if you're my thinking, Defamation Space is Transform Element. It's just another recycle. It's just another.
Again, I've heard that rumor as well, and I would be shocked if there's not some truth in some of these rumors. It could be that they're not fully same company. It could be slightly different people backing it. But yeah, I think there's when you look at the styles of some of the figures, if I look at Defamation Space, Starstream aside TE01, I can see the similarities in style that would make me believe that there's something similar to them. I say the Blitzwing is very similar as well. I could see an argument that they're all in the same company, and you get loyal to a brand. I don't understand the idea of why would you change your brand so many times if there's not something dodgy, or are they worried that a Hasbro's going to come after them? Or a Fans Toys are going to go after them, and that's why if you change your name, change where your factory is, can somebody catch you? And that could be it. It could be as simple as that.
And that's a really big point. Like you mentioned around earlier, like some of the friendlier relationship these companies have. A lot of them do share factories. We hear a lot about this, and it makes sense. You get companies who can share factories and say, "Look, we're going to hire out a factory for 16 weeks or whatever. Let's hire out the same factory, half each, half the cost." And if you've got 2 companies who want to get into bed together, metaphorically speaking, then they can do it. And if you're Fans Toys, no, thank you. I'm actually going to drive you out of town instead. And you've got this. So there's a lot of cost saving to be done. But then, as you quite rightly say, you're loyal to a brand. And if Defamation Space, if they say, "Oh, I like their jets," well, I'll look to see what else they come out with. And you want to keep that reputation going, as long as it's not a destructive reputation, if it's somewhat good. But yeah, if you just rebrand, people aren't going to know you from Adam.
Yep. No, if Defamation Space came out tomorrow and said they were doing the Coneheads, I'd be all in, because I know how good their jets are, so why wouldn't I not believe that? Whereas another third-party company comes out and said it, you're kind of like, I'll wait and see what they're like before I kind of commit to them. And that's the challenge that we sell Fans Toys. Fans Toys is our biggest brand that we sell for various reasons. But we have a loyal fan base that we put up the pre-order, and I could tell you the first 10 people who are going to pre-order almost every single time, because they're loyal to that brand. Some of them don't buy anything else from us, don't buy any other brand. but they buy all the fans toys. And there are people who are like that, same as Hasbro. We have that with anything, any aspect of this fandom. There are going to be people who are, I'm loyal to that one company. My enjoyment in the last what's it been, about 18 months since I've been involved with Prime Time, getting back into third party. It's experiencing companies and molds and toys that I would never have experienced before, and seeing how fun that some things can be. Mods Fans Roller, a brand new company. Well, again, there's rumours about that not being a brand new company. But it came out, and it was like we got them, took them to TFN, and it was an incredibly popular figure because it was cheap, fun, and really well engineered. And I'm now confident we've got the next Mod Fans release coming, which is a totally different thing. It's going to a legend scale, but the head kind of works with Fort Max, a legend scale Cerebros. And I'm confident we'll sell well on that because people were so impressed with the first one. The Cerebros head will be about the same price. So people will be comfortable going, right, I'm going to buy into that because I know what I'm getting. I know where I'm at. I've had that positive experience first time round. I'll buy from there. It's the same as, do you buy your coffee from Costa Starbucks?
Yeah.
People will have preferences based on experience, and these companies just popping up with a new brand, a new bit, and then the rumours, it always does have that fear of, why are you rebranding? Why are you changing? Is there a QC issue? Or you just don't want to deal with it? Fans Toys after sales. One of the reasons I like Fans Toys is their after sales is fantastic. We sold a figure at TFN. Got a message 2 or 3 days later saying there was an issue with it, and we had a replacement part within a few weeks to the customer. And you're just like, that's quick. That's a quick turnaround for third party QC. That's a quick turnaround. Some others are a bit more challenging.
Yeah, some you can get absolutely no response whatsoever. I've had breakages with X-Trans bots, haven't we all? And I did get a replacement part. Took a while, and I had to go through Show Z to get it, but I got it. And I had a breakage with Geiger Power. Now that's another one, Geiger Power, not Gigapower, Alexis, that has a nice fan base. I got all 5 of their Dinobots. I love them. They're some of my centerpieces of my collection. And there was rumors that they were going to do a Skylynx, and nothing, and gone. And to the point now that they probably haven't got any money left behind them to start up shop again.
Again, that's where the interest is, because there's rumours there's reissues coming. And if they do the reissues, like when Fans Toys started to go a bit heavy on their release schedule, my thought and hope, because I'm a Fort Max fan, was they're trying to cash in some stock so that they can produce this figure, because it's going to take a lot of money to engineer, a lot of money to produce.
Fort Max, yeah.
So if you sell stock to allow you to build up the capital to do that, that makes sense. I can see where that happens. And like you said, with reissues, if you are a company who are not struggling for cash, but you're like, I need a cash injection, how are we going to get it? Well, actually, if you've got these molds already, Hasbro do it. Like we see that at Hasbro. Hasbro continually release reissue, especially the molds they have, the reissue upon reissue upon reissue, because it's easy money for them. There's no cost in the engineering. There's just production cost. That's huge saving. Means your profit margins are up, and you can then reinvest that in others. So sometimes these companies, like a Keg of Power, are doing it probably to invest, get some cash in. They can then reinvest in something productive.
Yeah, I do think with Geiger Power that, or companies like that, it goes so long that your reserves will dry up. Now the reissues, the repaints, because they were going to do the weathered paints, they released 2 of them, then nothing since. Then there was going to be a reissue of Snarl, and I think there was Snarl, but maybe not Slug or Sludge. And it just all kind of went a bit quiet. And the longer it goes on, you think you're going to get going again. If you're going to start up again, you're making this harder and harder for yourself. So this is why, I go on about Kang Toys a lot, but I'm quite glad in the sense that they made their Predaking in the Masterpiece. They're finishing off the Predaking in the Legend scale. and they've jumped straight onto their stylized Dinobots. They're taking that money and investing it straight away to keep the conveyor belt going, because as soon as you stop, those reserves dry up and you won't be able to start again.
And I think that's where Fans Toys have got such a heavy release schedule this year and the latter part of last year, is because they had slowly built, and probably had so many things going that they were like, we need to clear out all these products that we've engineered, we've paid for. How many prototypes have we seen? How many digibashes have we seen? How many things have they still got on the back burner? They're thinking, going, let's clear out this backlog, allow us to, refresh some of the designs or create new designs with the funds we make from this. So it is an interesting bit, and it does. We'll never fully know. I would love to pick the brains of somebody. Bring somebody from maybe not Fans Toys, but somebody from one of the smaller companies to a TFUK con and chat to them about it. We used to have that at Auto Assembly. Yeah. We used to bring the guys from MMC, KFC, came and chatted, and it was really interesting to hear a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes. I think that would be something I would love to hear.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So to finish off then, really one final question for you, Graeme, is what would you say is the draw for someone to go to a third-party company away from Mainline, away from Hasbro?
So Hasbro and Takara to an extent will have a budget, because they'll have a set price that they want to sell their figure at. You see that with their Mainline. So they'll have a set budget, and once they hit that budget, they stop. With third party, they'll finish the project to what it needs to get to, and then charge what it needs to be charged at. There's no set price of, Fans Toys mini bots are all X price. You'll see them go up and down because some will take more engineering. If you look at the quality of some of the third party, they're far more tune accurate, far more smooth lined. They don't have the same safety protocols they have to adhere to. There are things that stop Takara and Hasbro producing that perfect figure that's always going to be there. It's never going to change. And Fans Toys, for example, with their Soundwave, I think the Takara Soundwave is one of the most perfect figures there is. And then Acoustic Wave just takes that to, it doesn't massively change it, but it's just smoother, it's nicer, it's more cartoon accurate. I'm a big believer in try new things, try new toys. Look at some of the cheaper options. A Fans Toys Spindrift is a fairly reasonably priced figure to try out a Fans Toys masterpiece. And I do believe once you see these in person, you handle them, you see the quality of them, I think you start to appreciate them more. I did that off the back of your video with the Transart Rat Trap. I bought one, and I remember saying to you, "Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm going to buy all these." And I think that's the bit, is if you've not tried a third party, pick something up, try it, pick some of this cheaper bits up. Some of the Legend stuff is incredible. It's not my bag. It's not something I would really collect. I still buy now and again, buy wee small bits, because some of them are just incredible pieces. So I think they're just that. The level of engineering in them is sometimes a lot better than the Hasbro stuff, because they can afford to spend a little bit more in doing it.
That's a very good point. And I think as well, like, people look at it as say, oh, it's Fans Toys, it's going to cost thousands and thousands, and it's going to be very heavy and take so long to transform, and it's not fun to transform, so why would I want to subject myself to that? And that's a very broad brush, because it's what you hear quite a lot of. But it's not to say that every company will do that. MMC, for example, doesn't cost half the world, generally quite simple transformations, relatively speaking. So you get these kind of, don't just assume that every third party is an absolute ball ache, like a
100%.
Fans Toys Power Glide, just to name names.
Fans Hobby, for example, Fans Hobby or Mada Megatron is one of the most simplistic transformations I've experienced.
Absolutely.
And one of the best figures I've ever experienced. That is probably my top bot of the year, and it just stands out. And I still like the Hasbro one, but it's different. It's something different altogether. And the other tip I'd give, if you're buying into third party, buying early, pre-ordering. You know, when we put our prices up, our cheapest price is always the pre-order price. If you pre-order your batch 2, usually for France Toys, that's the cheapest price you'll get it at. Once it comes into stock, the price goes up. Demand. You know, it's we pay a lot less for our first batch to our second batch to our third batch. Demand goes up, the cost goes up. So if you are buying third party, buy early rather than waiting and try to pick up in the aftermarket perhaps.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining us on this episode of All Talk No Shock. Graeme, thank you very much for coming along today and having this great discussion with me. Do you just want to take a minute or two just to talk about Primetime Toyz and what's going on with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So primetimetoyz.co.uk, we are a supplier of third party. You know, we have pretty much everything single France Toys release goes up. We dip our toes in some of the other stuff. We now stock a lot more Fans Hobby because I like them. We stock pretty much all Transat releases because I like them.
That's the thing.
Yeah, we are we are expanding our range. We try to bring in a little bit of everything. We've touched on a little bit on Legends class. We have brought in new companies like our Mod Fans Roller. We will try and get as much of a range as possible. We're on social media, on Facebook, on Primetime Toyz. Come on and see us. I do a video every week chatting about various topics, and we have got plans to expand on social media over the course of the year. We have grown in the last year, but we're planning to grow even further. But yeah, if you haven't seen us, come join us. There are 2 codes, Welcome 10, which will be expiring this year, and Power Up 10 will get you 10% off your order, full order, everything that's in stock, even sale items.
Code Fire 1 does not help you in this instance.
No, it does not.
Thanks very much for coming along. Goodbye.
Bye.